Beginning of the porfiriato. After a bloody struggle, Porfirio Diaz was ascended to the president. He had difficulties to govern, and he did not care about the social, economic, and cultural development of the country. With the help of the army, he controlled the rebels and centralized power. In 1878, General Escobar tries to proclaim Leonardo president of Mexico. He failed. Porfirio fought against Leonardo and his supporters, who rebelled throughout the country.
Porfirio Diaz applied a conciliatory policy to the supporters of Lerdo that brought him more benefits than the armed struggle. For this, he made an agreement with their leader, Matias Romero Rubio, and offered all his followers amnesty. When this great period ended, there began to be a certain amount of uneasiness in society. While some people said that Diaz would stand for re-election, others flatly denied this. The general himself dispelled doubts by publicly stating that he would not run for election, as this would be against what had been laid down in the Plan de Tuxtepec. The question then was, who would be his successor? But this did not last long, because from the beginning he showed support for his friend Manuel Gonzalez. Manuel Gonzalez ended being elected president of Mexico for the term of 1880 to 1884 in an electoral process similar to those of Leto's times. The task of Manuel Gonzalez as president was to continue with the work begun by Diaz 3 years earlier, especially in the pacification of Mexico, and he managed to subdue the caciques of Puebla, Jalisco, and Zacatecas. However, he made several mistakes, and this together with his lack of charisma meant that he did not have popular support. Gonzalez governed so badly that many asked for Diaz to return, so changes would have to be made in the constitution for non-immediate re-election to be valid, and in this way, Diaz could occupy the presidency again.
Porfirio Diaz came back for a second term as president from 1884 to 1888. He showed he would use anti-democratic methods if he needed to put the country in order. He appointed the president, members of the municipal council, and governors of some states, while eliminating authorities who went against him and imprisoned journalists and workers of the press who criticized him. Diaz fought against people and bandits disturbing the peace, and forcefully put down Indian rebels. Regional oligarchies were a problem to Diaz because they had too much independence. He tried to buy their loyalty, but some refused, so he used violence to persuade them. He was a radical liberal, but he tried to approach the church because it was better than having it as an enemy, something that he learned from Juarez's experience. Both sides agreed to not intervene with the issues of the other. It was not long before the president had all the political authorities under his control.
By the end of this period, Porfirio Diaz had hardly begun to work on his projects, and still had a lot to do. Congress approved the plan to modify the Constitution, in which he proposed his immediate re-election for one term only. Diaz and his followers beat the opposition in elections. Economy began to take off, but with great difficulty. Diaz in 1877 appointed Matias Romero Secretary of Treasury. During the presidency of Manuel Gonzalez in 1880 and 1884, everything had done Romero collapsed because payments could not be made.
Between 1880 and 1884, the Mexican banking system began to be created. Then the Banco Nacional Mexicano was founded in 1881 thanks to the assistance of the Banque Franco of Paris. The banking system was growing considerably. This was not enough to start up the domestic economy. From the beginning of his presidency, mining was a great concern for Diaz, and therefore he tried to recognize the industry to increase production and earn more income from exports. As in the times of Juarez and Lerdo, during the porfiriato, it was thought that progress would come with the construction of railroads. And the type of production was the only one which made agriculture a profitable business and the regime encouraged the road surveying companies. Thanks for your attention.